When I landed in Juneau, Alaska, it was raining, and it had been raining for so many days that it was probably the rainiest month on record for that portion of Alaska. I didn't even think we would get to camp, let alone be able to load into a helicopter, and honestly, we spent quite a few days on weather hold, going to coastal helicopters, going back to the housing, going to helicopters and going back, and just hoping and waiting for a weather window. Eventually, miraculously, we got the call to come up, get the safety briefing, load into the helicopter, and head out just to go see and hopefully maybe be able to make it. We've been waiting so long, they wanted to at least give it a shot to get us out there. Helicopters are honestly so fun. You just have this incredible bird's eye view, and it gives you such an incredible sense of scale in these landscapes that are so big that it's really hard to comprehend how large they are from the ground. And the pilots are amazing. I cannot believe the work that they do and how skilled they are to even just do this kind of work. It's really mind-boggling. As we were getting close to camp, the clouds were completely covering our location in the cloud, but the pilot said, let's go take a little look-see. I thought there was no way in heck we were going to land, but lo and behold, as we were going through the fog and the cloud, a couple little buildings pop out of the mist, and we touched down for what I was told was a little bit of a spicy landing. Helicopter stays on, we hop out, everybody else loads back on, and then it flies off back into the mist, and then all of a sudden, there we are. I'm at Camp 18 with JIRP, and I can't believe it. Gosh, we got our first view of the icefall. Hoping it's not the last because the clouds just pop back down super briefly, and holy cow, is this spectacular or what? I'm out in this amazing location as volunteer faculty with the Juneau Icefield Research Program, or JIRP, as most folks end up calling it. JIRP is an 8-week immersive field science program where students who are primarily undergraduate, graduate, and even a couple high school juniors and seniors traverse by foot and by ski from Juneau, Alaska, all the way to Atlin, British Columbia. During that time, they move about every 2 weeks from one camp to another, and as faculty during the final 2 weeks of the program, I was flown into Camp 18, which is this just mind-blowing location where these buildings are just perched on the edge of this nunatak overlooking the Gilkey Glacier. Students and researchers have been coming here for more than 60 years, which means that these buildings and this place holds not only a ton of scientific data and stories, but also quite a few really interesting, quirky things. One of my favorites is the 2 Glacier rover vehicles that have been out here for decades, and they're pretty darn awesome. On the second day, I woke up to snow, which I was not expecting, but I probably should have, given how high we are up in the mountains. And while it made painting outside quite challenging and cold, it sure was really, really cool and so beautiful. I expected to wake up to this morning. It's snowing. Certainly did not expect to wake up to snow this morning. That's crazy. Look at this. Oh my gosh, there's some camp and the glacier behind me. And it is actually snowing pretty hard. This is awesome. I'm also so glad I'm not headed out today. One more day in camp, thank goodness. the weather being this cold, I spent most of the day hunkered down inside, working on sketches, prepping for the Traverse Day tomorrow, and also planning out what I wanted to paint if I was to get lucky enough to have a window to go outside and work on a sketch. There's camp behind me, these really old historic buildings that are still in use and still functional, not the best insulated. It is cold. I have one puffy on, wishing I had the other. And wow, this is quite the spot to paint. I am just so excited to be here. Look at that light. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's like the first sunshine we've seen in, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, however many since we last left Juneau. And wow, that is truly stunning. Where am I going to start with this thing? Because like I mentioned before, once I put stuff down, it's going to stay wet until I carry it inside. Which is going to be entertaining. So, and there's rain coming, I think I can see it over there. Oh, and it just arrived. So we're going to get some little raindrops. I don't need to be perfect. Again, I'm just going for, like, I'll focus this right at the bottom of the glaciers where they wrap over and have a lot of that blue visible. And then we'll have some more right there. We'll have a couple little sections right through there and a few visible below the clouds. I still cannot believe that we had time to get the class in. It makes me so happy, and it's also stinking cold, so I'm gonna go back inside. After one more night at Camp 18, it was time to strap on the skis and head out into the light snow and whiteout. It was like skiing through a ping pong ball. We could see each other, the track and the snow, and really not much else. I was very, very glad when finally, as we got close to the Canadian border, enough light finally came out that we could actually see a tiny bit. This would be our longest day of my traverse with the Juneau Icefield Program, around 18 to 20 miles, most of that on skis, but eventually we would end up back on the glacier. I entertained myself through all the boring skiing conditions by chatting with the group and imagining how I would try to paint all the different parts of the landscape once we eventually got some views. The excitement to actually be able to see something. Look at that! There is some definition on the ice field. Novel concept. Look at those clouds. That's awesome. Wow. And here we go. Almost to our F10 cache. Woo-wee. As we skied further into Canada, the weather just got better and better. I was so happy to finally have the sun out and be able to see more of the ice field and the beautiful mountains all around us. It was turning into a really beautiful day. So when the students finally stopped for a little break to go to their final ski turns of the season, hiking up a hill above our spot, I had about 15 minutes to work on a sketch, which I didn't expect, and I was so excited to have the time to create a really quick painting looking down at the end of the ice field and Atlin Lake. Then our camp would be somewhere in the rocks on the left. After skiing for most of the day, it was finally time to take the skis off, strap them onto our backpacks, and trade out the clunky, hard ski boots for our comfortable hiking boots and micro spikes. I, for one, was pretty glad to make the switch. I really enjoy hiking on glaciers. They're just stunningly beautiful, there's water running everywhere on the surface, and it just feels like such an otherworldly landscape to get to move through, and to do it at the speed of a human walk is something really, really special. However, there are also hazards in the snow, as I learned when I stepped into a little bit of a flimsy ice pit, fell over, and thankfully got up unscathed. But I was definitely a little more careful with choosing my footing after that.
I'm gonna be a pirate on the rivers of Saskatchewan. It's the heat. Oh!
And around the corner is camp. All right. The hours of walking down the glacier went by quickly, watching the light change across the peaks and the shadows stretching across the ice. And before I knew it, we hopped off the ice and started to hike across the huge rocky waste fields of where the glaciers used to go and carved away the landscape. This would be the final leg of our journey on our way to Camp 26, and the views just kept getting more interesting and more dynamic as we moved off the ice and into the old moraines. Up top! Woo! Alright, well, from Camp 26, we are headed up to go look for some ice caves. What a fun excursion for the morning. I'm going to do some painting with the students this afternoon, so pretty darn excited about today and that we're here. And I feel pretty good considering we just went 18 miles yesterday. Woohoo! Later that day, when I would reflect on hiking through the ice caves, I wrote in my field journal, "The ice caves transport us to another world of ethereal colors and patterns that boggle my imagination. In the middle of the cave, a moraine and waterfall connect this world of ghostly life to the realm above." I have dreamed of seeing an ice cave for so long, and this was just such an incredible experience. I only wish I had had the opportunity to paint in here, but it was altogether too cold and probably too wet to even attempt it. But someday I will come back and try to paint an ice cave. Well, we popped out of the ice caves and now the weather's changed a little bit. Get a little cloudy. Fingers crossed, we'll still have decent weather tomorrow. Well, I'm sitting here at our next painting location, and man, oh, is it beautiful. There's the Llewellyn Glacier behind me. Those incredible striations, similar to what we painted on the glacier in the Gilkey Trench. And there's an option behind us of what to paint, but we're going to paint instead the other view that I have just been enchanted by since the entire ski yesterday. And I just want to take a chance to turn the camera around and say hello and welcome to Camp 26. I'm so excited we get to paint here. It is just, I'm so glad I got this day. I have no idea if I'll have another day or some more. No idea what the weather's going to do, but all I know is that I just have been so grateful for every opportunity and little window I've gotten to paint on this trip, and to be able to share that with all of you just makes it even more special. So thank you for being here. All right, last sunset in the high mountains. Tomorrow I head down that way. Excited and sad to be leaving the high area, especially after just having a day of good weather up here, but that'll be enough. Any time out here is always such a gift. Wow. Incredible terrain. Well, I am both excited and sad to be leaving the ice field. Tomorrow's going to be a very long day. I estimate 12, hopefully not 14 hours. Long day either way. So I'm just mentally preparing myself for a long day, and it's going to be beautiful though, hiking off the ice. Doesn't get any more spectacular than this. Get to hike out tomorrow. Woohoo! There's camp over there. I woke up early the next morning to get to watch sunrise, and it was just absolutely spectacular. I have very rarely seen colors like that in the mountains, and it was such a beautiful send-off from Camp 26. A few hours later, we were geared up, our skis strapped onto our backpacks, and we were headed out on the glacier. We had many hours of travel across the Llewellyn. It started out relatively smooth, just beautiful, smooth sailing across a glacier. And then things started to get bumpier and bumpier, and then crevassier. Some of them are small enough that you get to just hop right across, and then others are big enough that you have to navigate across them, around them, and change your entire route to make sure you don't run into a dead end somewhere. Making our way down the Juneau Glacier. Whew, man, this is incredible. I cannot believe where we are right now. We were hauling. Whew. In between the crevasse sections, we were absolutely hauling. And I was just grateful to be keeping up, taking in as much of the view as I possibly could, while also trying not to fall into any of the running little streams, crevasses, and puddles across the surface of the ice. And at one point in the morning, we saw something really cool. In the far distance, we could just make it out. We actually saw a wolverine running across the surface of the glacier, which is super, super rare. It was a really, really special thing to get to see on the ice field. Very few people even see wolverines in the forest and in the more lowland mountains, but to see one out on the glacier was highly unusual, and very few people actually get to witness that, even in a lifetime of looking for these creatures. Enjoy our glacier sidewalk while it lasts. We're gonna go up and over that red thing at some point, which I'm not too psyched about, but we'll see. Often things look worse here than they actually are, so we will investigate. The students all walked off the ice hand in hand. This moment, this transition from the world of ice and snow and glaciers back to rocks and eventually forest and lakes marked the end of their summer adventure. And I just felt really, really lucky that I got to be a witness and participant in this stage of their journey. We left the Atlin Glacier behind, and now we are walking through what I dub the Valley of Crappy Cobbles. It's just a whole bunch of little rounded rocks for a very long time. It'll be a long stinking day, but we're still making good time. And I'm still keeping up, so we'll call that a win. Look at how big the moose prints are. They're huge compared to my feet. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And now we have moose and bear prints. There's the moose and there's the bear prints. Over many more miles of hiking, we left the world of the glaciers and the barren, rocky, post-glacial terrain behind and re-entered the world of plants and trees and green-growing things. We continued to make really good time and would finish the entire day in about 10 hours, pretty far ahead of schedule, which meant that we had time to enjoy the beautiful views eventually on the shores of Atlin Lake. Reaching the lake is another special moment and milestone for the group, and I was once again grateful to just sit on the side and soak it all in.